My name's Apostle Patrick, and I'm married.
Good. Okay, Apostle Patrick.
Yes, yes.
Is marriage important today?
Ken, I don't know what life would be for men and women if you removed marriage. Honestly, the author and the finisher of this relationship is God Himself. When He said, "And let's make man in our image and in our likeness." And then He did that, but He proceeds and says the purpose of male and female. Of course, He created male and female. Then He said, go and procreate, go and multiply. Something that has kept the procreation, has kept the lives of male and female coming on the scene and departing. But more than that, when we go to Genesis chapter 2, then God says, it is not good for a man to be alone. And you realize that today, and in most developed nations like America, Europe, people, and now it's proceeding to Africa, where people are losing a sense of marriage. But originally, God said it's not good for a man to be alone. Anybody can refute that, but with a lot of heavy consequences later, because you will find that whatever route you take besides what God has said, the consequences are dire. You know what I mean? Because when God said it's not good, it's not good. Period.
Why it is not good for a man to be alone?
Again, men and women are social people. They are born to relate. And whether you are holed up, wherever you'll be, you are held up. You always want somebody to talk to. You always want somebody to listen to, or to be listened to. And so you'll always want to relate. And so I feel that it is, and particularly opposite sex. Males feel attracted to females, and females are attracted to males. Yeah. And in order to prevent immorality, okay, the Bible has said in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1 to 3 to 4, it says, it is not good for a man to touch a woman. But in order to prevent immorality, sexual immorality, let every woman have her own husband, and let every male man have his own wife. And let the man do benevolence to the woman, and the same to the woman. Because the Bible says that a man doesn't have authority over his own body, but the woman has authority over a man's body. And the other way, also, the woman that has no authority over her own body, but the man has authority over a woman's body.
Go.
Now, I'm reading you from 1 Corinthians chapter 7 from verse 1. Now, concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, this is Paul, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Basi, kwa habari ya mambo yale niliyoandika, ni heri mwanamume asimguse mwanamke. Nevertheless, verse 2, To avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Kwa Kiswahili, lakini kwa sababu ya zinaa, kila mwanamume na awe na mke wake mwenyewe, na kila mwanamke na awe na mwanamume wake mwenyewe. Let the husband, verse 3, render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. Mume na ampe mkewe haki yake, na vivyo hivyo mke na ampe mumewe haki yake. Verse 4, the wife has not power over her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband has no power over his own body, but the wife. Mke hana amri juu ya mwili wake, bali mumewe. Vivyo hivyo mume hana amri juu ya mwili wake, bali mkewe. Okay, verse 5. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer. So that means even the couples, whether you are what, you need to set aside a time of fasting and praying, because we are faced with warfare in the spiritual realm that can truly bring a lot of trouble on a relationship. All right. That you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your inconsistency. Msinyimane, isipokuwa mmepatana kwa muda, ili mpate faraga kwa kusali, mkajiane tena, shetani asije akawajaribu kwa kutokuwa na kiasi kwenu. Okay. Again, on the issue of msinyimane or do not defraud, this is an area where many couples have had problems, because indeed I agree that we get tired when we come from work. Sometimes some people have not even had sleep. But the covenant love is that love uvumilia, perseveres, goes an extra mile. When the other person is tired and the other person is in need, the love of God dictates that you still can sacrifice because of the other. And you know what? God is so interesting, is God is involved. The moment you surrender in obedience to God, then God comes in to give you the energy that you need to fulfill his will to your husband or to your wife. So there is no, I'm so tired, leave me alone. You know, and many times couples have done that only to realize the other person is seeing another person out. You know? So some people have not been honest to one another. So you realize you defraud your husband or your wife when you are seeing somebody having another relationship besides this relationship. So that is the test of your love for your husband and for your wife.
What does the Bible say about sex in marriage?
The Bible is very categorical. on the issue, on the topic of sex, that it is only embodied in marriage, because God takes in Genesis, he takes the man, he puts the man to sleep when he said it's not good for a man to be alone. He puts Adam to sleep, and he removes a rib and he closes it with flesh and makes a woman. At that time, Adam is asleep. And when he finishes that operation and making a woman and perfects the woman again, he wakes up Adam and brings Eve to Adam. Adam did not even look for Eve. So the issue of men and looking for one another, this is whoredom. I look at it like as whoredom, because you putting eyes everywhere. But God was involved in bringing a partner to Adam. And I believe this ought to be the trend. Although people would dispute this, kwamba huwezi kukaa tu hapo ungoje uletewe, you know. All right. So after God bringing Eve to Adam, look at Adam's reaction. He says, now, this is the flesh of my flesh and the bone of my bones, for she was taken from me. I will call her Eve.
So Abraham named, or God named.
No, Abraham.
Abraham named the woman.
Not Abraham. Eve. Adam named.
Adam named the woman Eve.
Yes.
God did not name the woman Eve.
No. Neither did God name anything. Only Adam named everything that God made. And now, the Bible says, when Adam responded the way he responded, and I believe God was watching, the reaction was emotional. It was like, at last, something that resembles me has come to me. And the Bible says, and they were naked. That was the genesis of sex. They were naked and they were not ashamed.
So were they having sex before?
Yes. No. They didn't have. When they met, of course, the Bible says, and they were naked and they were not ashamed. Mm-hmm. It is imagined that is the moment they had sex. Okay. Yes. But as you read further the book of Genesis, you realize that there is a time Adam came into Eve. Mm-hmm. And she conceived. You realize that's when God makes that. But when they were naked, they were not ashamed. So we could also agree that they may not have had sex at that moment, though they were naked, all right? But when Adam came into Eve, we believe that's when they began sex. And then that's when they brought forth, Eve conceived. Now, you could also say, then sex was purely for procreation. But we don't know how it failed for Adam and Eve from there and then thereafter. But here we are with sex. We realize it is not only for procreation. It is a time, sometimes, a release of tension from one's body. I have seen that when, especially couples, when they practice sex for some time, and now they know how to be able to cater for one another's emotions until they all come to climax together. it is a very satisfying thing. It's a very releasing thing. In other words, you're saying unfulfilling intimacy.
Yes.
Unfulfilling intimacy. And if both parties, the husband and the wife, are healthy, it's only a matter of understanding of each other, so emotional needs, and being able to communicate together as to how each one feels and want to feel. How do you feel if I touch here? How do you react? Am I hurting you? You know, at least, but especially females would like husbands to be very accommodative, to be very understanding. In other words, the woman always desires that the man be all over her. In other words, it should not be like the man is seeking for his own satisfaction. You know what I mean? But rather than I want to pleasure my wife, I want to make sure she's pleasured. That should be the goal. I want to pleasure you tonight. And be skilled in doing so. Yeah. Sometimes she may desire to even to go to climax, and you hold her. You are not having it, because you want her to have multiple, they call it orgasms, multiple orgasms, and the women have multiple orgasms. I'm telling you, that's why a man should never hurry with his own orgasm. Thank you.
Best way to prepare for intimacy in Reverend Patrick's version.
Okay, you're interesting. Do I really have a version? But I would just say my experience over this is that one thing is clear. This woman is not the one who came to me. It is me who sought for her. I went and said, hey, Margaret, I love you. And by virtue of what I spoke to her, she consented. And because she was consenting to an unknown world, she's still asking questions. And she may have consented with some unfulfilled questions. You understand? So you realize the fact that you have put a ring on her does not mean in her heart she's 100% sure that you love her. So those unanswered questions, you should be taking care of them now. For instance, you ask her, you may be working, but you may text her and say, hey, I'm wondering what may be on your mind, troubling you. Anything bringing you anxiety, any fears. And don't tell me you don't have any fears, because even me, sometimes I have fears. And if you want her to open up again, tell her sometimes, I fear whether, sometimes I fear whether if, for instance, if today I would want to make love, I fear whether you would turn me down, something like that. And I would really get hurt. But so what are your fears? Can I tell you another fear I have? Then you can also share another fear. Okay. And you're honest about it. You're honest about it, right? For instance, I have put all my investment on her. Supposing one day she decides she doesn't want me, where do I start? She has that fear, that kind of fear. And you'll be shocked that she also has some kind of same kind of fears. And once you wield these things that Satan would normally want to have to bring hesitation in somebody releasing oneself to the other, once all these you remove them by and by, you will find sometimes you no longer even ask for intimacy. Mtu atakuwa tu tayari, anajua story, anajua what you need, he knows your needs. And so it's so important. But the woman would really want to know that you think about her all the time. Because like here in America, think about for instance, okay, that's personal. I think about my wife all the time because I know nobody else, and not that if I knew another one or I want to know another one, but I mean at age,
Yes.
I totally have understood the marriage covenant. It has consequences. Yeah, you cannot play games with a marriage covenant. It has eternal issues related to marriage or covenant. That's why you sometimes see a woman who even if she has left her husband, when at a certain age anarudishwa na watoto kwa mume wake, because she's eternally attached to this man. Yeah, the relationship, you cannot work beyond the husband or beyond the wife. So you prepare your wife by engaging her, knowing how she emotionally feels. What is worrying her? Is it the children? Are you anxious about the children? Oh, can I take care of that? And then offload those issues that are causing a burden on her. Offload her. If she's tired, she wants to sleep. Can she sleep while you do the chores? You understand? Our African women know their place. They would, unless you take over those chores, she would normally not even ask you to do that. But she's glad. Many women are glad when you join her in what she's doing, and with the time, as you see the way she may be feeling so dull or not very active. Say, oh, come on, go lie down. I finished this. So taking care of her.
Okay, Apostle Patrick.
Yes.
Is marriage important today?
Ken, I don't know what life would be for men and women if you removed marriage. Honestly, the author and the finisher of this relationship is God Himself, when He said, and let's make man in our image and in our likeness. And then He did that, but He proceeds and says the purpose of male and female. Of course, He created male and female. Then He said, go and procreate, go and multiply. Something that has kept the procreation, has kept the lives of male and female coming on the scene and departing. But more than that, when we go to Genesis chapter 2, then God says, it is not good for a man to be alone. And you realize that today, and in most developed nations like America, Europe, people, and now it's proceeding to Africa, where people are losing a sense of marriage. But originally God said it's not good for a man to be alone. Anybody can refute that, but with a lot of heavy consequences later, because you will find that whatever route you take besides what God has said, the consequences are dire. You know what I mean? Because when God said it's not good, it's not good. Period.
Should a man do house chores?
Hey, kid. Look, what does the Bible say? The Bible says that it's not good for a man to be alone, and so I will make him a helpmate. When somebody comes to assist you, he doesn't take over. No, he comes to assist. And so I believe that a man really can make a life of a woman so happy if he can assist her in the chores in the house. And it also helps fellowship. Sasa kwa nini uende kwa TV uangalie ball na hii siku mzima yote umekuwa away from your wife? Honestly, no, romance starts in the kitchen. While she's cooking, you can hold her from behind. And when she leaves ugali burning, you can you can say, no, I didn't mean that. Then, fun starts there.